Road rage out of Orange County, Florida leaves one no longer with us and the other one in jail. Before we get into that, my name's Stephen with Armed Culture, bringing you news related to the Second Amendment from a self-defense perspective. In fear for my life, a woman arrested after a unfortunate road rage shooting that leaves one no longer with us on Colonial Drive. This was again out of Orange County, Florida. An Orlando woman is arrested on Monday after a road rage shooting along Colonial Drive on December that left one man no longer with us, according to the police department. Police initially announced that the shooting happened back near the 2800 block and East Colonial Drive on the morning of December 2nd, involving one driver, hostility between two vehicles, resulting in the death of the driver. The detective said they received a 911 call about a man on the roadway that had been shot in the face, and the shooter, later identified as Tina Angelo, 47, was still on the scene. That's a good sign there. She stayed to, make sure the cops saw her. At the time, Jeremy Bruce told News 6 that he witnessed the shooting after dropping off his brother at the Home Suites. I watched him get shot, and after that I ran over to the scene of him because it's the right next to my car, Bruce said. And first of all, my first instinct is to help, but when I realized he was shot in the head, I couldn't help. According to investigators, the police were able to detain Angelo before setting up the scene. The victim, Mihail Treskov, 42, was later declared no longer here after being taken to the hospital for treatment. It's unfortunate, but you will see kind of what happened here in a minute. So, in the investigation reporters filed last month, detectives said they were able to gather video of what happened from one of the witnesses. The video shows moments before the shooting. Shows the shooter out of her vehicle in traffic, taking photos and videos of the dissident's vehicle. The dissident is observed driving away from the initial incident location. The video shows the shooter following the dissident's vehicle and purposely striking. It's interesting they come to the conclusion that it's just a purposeful striking it with her vehicle. The video then shows the dissident exiting his vehicle, checking for damage, and then approaching the driver's side of Angelo's Ford. The police said they learned from the witness that Treskov had begun attacking Angelo after the collision, which prompted her to fire on him. Well, I mean, that makes sense. She's in her vehicle trying to chase after Treskov after he had already, he was tailgating and it seems to have bumped her, possibly. And then she's just trying to follow after him because she feels that he's trying to flee from what was something that was at his fault, at least according to her, as one generally would, trying to get more information. And a witness explained that Mrs. Angelo, or Algio, talked of an incident that occurred before the shooting, and the reports reads, the witness said she did not witness any of it, but learned from Mrs. Algio that the Treskov was tailgating her further back. And here we have a picture of the police at the scene. The investigators later got a hold of the red light camera footage near the shooting scene, which showed Treskov opening the door of Angelo's vehicle before he was shot. The reporter continues. Over a week later, detectives said they received a statement from Algio via her attorney, which Algio claims she was confronted by Treskov further down the road about tailgating her. In response to the statement, Treskov had bumped into Angio's car, causing her to follow him while calling 911. Makes sense, as one would do if somebody's fleeing from the scene of like a hit and run. According to Algio, she accidentally struck Treskov's vehicle while trying to get his tag and number, which resulted in him getting out of his car and attacking her, deputies explained. Her first statement reads as followed. On Monday, December 2nd, 2024, I was driving down Colonial Drive headed uh, toward Bumpy in the left lane. I always take that lane since I have to turn left for work. Another driver was riding super close to my car's rear end. I switched lanes and got it I switched lanes to let him go by, but he switched too and followed me still very close. I slowed down to encourage him to go around me, but he didn't. We were in the middle lane now. We came to the light, and he is so close and almost hit me. I opened my door and stood by the door, pointing towards our bumper and saying to get off my ass. I then got back into my car, and he inched closer to me again. My windows are still up, and then he rolls his car into mine from behind, and I felt my car jerk forward. I got out with my phone in hand to report him. I looked down. I'm next to my back bumper and see his front bumper touching my back bumper. I was about to call the police when he proceeded to back away from my car and turned its wheels in towards me and drove towards me and hit my body with his car. I remember my right knee hit his. It's interesting. I remember my right knee his to the ground. My glasses were on his hood. I stood up and picked up my glasses, and was about to call 911 when he again proceeded to try to hit my body, a second time. I moved out of the way towards the car, and he jumped into the left lane, and everyone left. It's interesting that she's saying that she got hit. The police didn't necessarily mention that when they reviewed the footage of what was seen. Maybe that was from a different angle that didn't necessarily show it. I got back into my car and dialed 911 and drove down Colonial Drive. She's also driving after just getting hit. But, I mean, maybe adrenaline's resting. Hoping to get his tag number and report him. A few lights later, I see a tag and remember it because it looked different, not than a regular Florida tag. Maybe Connecticut blue and white. I'm still on the phone with 911 and they haven't answered yet. I tried to jump behind him and get his license plate and accidentally hit his car. His car was in the left lane and I was in the middle lane. As soon as I hit him, he pulled back into my lane and then proceeded to jump into my lane in front of me. He put his car in park, got out of his car, and walked in between our cars, and then turned around and came to my door and yanked my door open. And I was scared. I peed myself. It was super quick, and then he tried to pull me out of the car, and he punched me in the face over and over again. When I realized it was that he was hitting me over and over again, I pulled my left arm up and in front of my face to stop him from hitting me. I mean, if all this is true, and he definitely was, and he was assaulting her, I could see where she would feel the need to use lethal force. He kept punching my face and my arm over and over as he could. I told him to stop. He wouldn't stop. My seatbelt was on the whole time. I was pinned in my car, with nowhere to go, and my pepper spray was not accessible. I mean, they do call the car the deadly coffin for a reason. You're oftentimes either seatbelted in or just in a lower position where you are easily to be held down. I keep my pepper spray in the driver's side door and it was not accessible. He was inside my car and punching me in the left side of my face and my temple. I was stretched out long inside of my car trying to get away with my back on the center console and my head close to the passenger seat. My left foot was out the door and was not touching anything. My right foot was inside the car where I could be driving close to my brake. From that moment, he opened my door. He would not have stopped punching me over. I begged him several times to stop during the whole situation while I'm laying on my back. I'm worried that this guy is too big for me to kill. Too big. He might kill me with the punches. My face hurt. I felt so bad. I didn't always carry my firearm with me, and I managed to get my gun in the center console. I barely got the center console open and got my gun out and unholstered the gun really quick. It was still down low and the man was still punching my face. I'm still laid back on the seat. I held the gun next to my chest and fired one time, and all of a sudden he wasn't hitting me anymore. I did not give him permission to open my car door, or hit me or enter my car, as you would expect. Nobody really wants to let a person they don't know in their car. I was in fear for my life. I could understand why if you're being pummeled, and felt like I had no choice. I didn't know what else to do and was scared and in shock. It was very frightening of an incident. It was a huge man punching me in the face over and over again. My body is still sore. The court records show Algeo was ultimately arrested on Monday and faces charges of aggravated battery with a deadly weapon. Her attorney explained the charges stem from Algeo's following Trasky and crashing into his vehicle as she got not charged with his death. So, and we do have a little bit of an update as well here, talking about like the court case as follows. But this woman, she's been struck or possibly struck by somebody in traffic, and she follows them to try to get information. He's already seeming to drive erratic, and maybe she bumped into him. And it seems like she's being charged over that, as they think she's a road rager. Now, some of the footage shows what she described, and some of the footage doesn't show what she described. I'm wondering if that's from an angle. I wish they would show the footage, but they don't. I've watched the videos, and unfortunately, they're not in there. Or again, Tina Angelo, the woman accused of second-degree murder in a deadly Orlando shooting, with which prosecutors attribute to road rage, posted bond Saturday morning. Records show. Spending Friday in the Orange County Court waiting for the bond decision, the judge later granted the 47-year-old a $100,000 bond, according to her attorney, Mark Omer. Angelo faces charges of second-degree murder and aggravated battery with a deadly weapon. She pleaded not guilty to both charges, court records show. If she's claiming self-defense, that makes sense. She was arrested last month in connection with the December 2024 shooting, death of 42-year-old Mikhail Treskov. Algeo was previously been held without bond after the grand jury indicted her on second-degree murder charges. Orange County State Attorney Monique Worrell argued Friday that Angelo should remain in custody without bond because she believes Algeo is a danger to the community. If Algeo had fired her weapon and missed, those shots could have injured or killed other people. That's always a possibility in any self-defense situation, other than her like gaining control over the fight. How would she have known where those rounds could have gone? She placed the gun as close to him as possible and seems to have made good shots according to her story. Of course, more may come out from this case. It's still being litigated. According to her story, it definitely seems self-defense like, but we will see as we get more updates. Algeo told detectives that she confronted Treskov after tailgating her and bumped into her car, and that morning during rush hour. She explained in a witness statement that she accidentally struck Treskov's car while dialing 911 and to get license plate information. Kavanaugh described the video of Algeo hitting Treskov's Lexus while he which was played during Friday's hearing. She is parallel with the descendant's vehicle, and she strikes the side of the vehicle, Kavanaugh explains. Worrell asked, did the occurrence appear to be intentional? Yes, he replied. Of course, she's following him, so it is intentional that she's driving that way. She is talking on the phone while driving, which isn't necessarily the best. Another video shows for the first time in court that Treskov opened Algeo's driver's side door after the two came to a stop, which, in my opinion, is where Treskov kind of crosses the line. She already was outside during the first incident, so why didn't he try to make contact then? And now he's opening her door, which is very threatening in my opinion. According to Kavanaugh, the act was an act of burglary of an occupied vehicle, a felony offense. Because it was an occupied vehicle, we have reason to believe that he was going to commit a crime, he said on the stand. Of course, we don't know because he is no longer here, but that being said, he is opening up an occupied vehicle. Somebody is in there, and we already know that being in a vehicle isn't necessarily the safest situation for people. But Worrell said the state does not share the same perception of the shooting, claiming Algeo provoked Treskov, and that she cannot claim self-defense because the shooting happened while she broke the law by hitting his car, after supposedly he had already hit her car and possibly done other things. I don't necessarily think just because somebody struck your car, you have the right to pull them out of their car. Algeo could have avoided all of the encounter if she had not instigated the road rage incident. Second, not have committed the forcible felony against Treskov. Worrell told the judge she has the opportunity to retreat. She didn't. I mean, theoretically, that's true. She could have just either pulled over into a parking lot, called 911, and gave the best of her knowledge description of the man's car. Omer said that he was a bit surprised that the state would go forward with second-degree murder charges, pointing to the incident in the video between Treskov exiting his vehicle and then allegedly beating Algeo after opening her car door. He cannot suggest that she was the aggressor at this point. He became the aggressor when he goes in there and starts pummeling her in her car. Omer told News 6 that this is a classic self-defense case when you shoot to protect yourself from further great bodily injury. And if everything that Algeo said is true, and that is how this particular case unfolded, I couldn't agree more. You're in your car, you're tied down, you've already tried to make the situation right by getting out of your car and exchanging information there, and now you're following a hit and run accident, supposedly. And you accidentally bump into them. They're already driving erratically. They're trying to get away from you, so I can imagine bumping into them is not the most out of the ordinary situation. That being said, maybe she could have driven a little bit safer. What are your thoughts? Get into those comments. Let me know. Do you think this was a plausible self-defense? Do you think we just don't even know enough just yet? Or do you think Mr. Treskov had all the right to open up her door? We don't know we don't have video proof of him necessarily pummeling her, but he did open up her door. We don't know what followed from there, or at least according to what police have announced from the video, we don't know more than there. Get in those comments. Let me know what you think about this situation. If you found value about this case, knowing more about Second Amendment self-defense situations happening around you, hit that like button and subscribe to Armed Culture. I bring you said stories all the time. Talk to you soon and see you in the next video. Bye.